Welcome to Malaga, one of the easiest cruise ports in southern Spain and a great stop if you want history, views, food and a beautiful old town. Malaga sits on the Costa del Sol in Andalusia, and many cruisers know it as a gateway to Granada and the Alhambra. But Malaga itself is also a fantastic port today, especially if this is your first visit. The best part is that the cruise port is very close to the city. In many cases, you can simply walk from the ship to the waterfront, the Old Town, the Cathedral, the Alcazaba and even the beach. I visited Malaga on a cruise and later came back for a longer stay, which gave me a much better idea of what works during a port day. I had time to explore the main highlights in Malaga, but I also used Malaga as a base to visit Granada and the Alhambra one day and Seville another day. So, in this video, I'll walk you through the Malaga Cruise Port, how to get around, what you can see on foot, and when it makes sense to take a day trip to Granada or Seville. Cruise ships dock directly at the port, so you can simply walk off the ship. There are two main docking areas. Smaller and mid-sized ships usually dock closer to the city, near the Palmeral de las Sorpresas, which is the waterfront promenade next to the Old Town. From there, you can reach Malaga Cathedral and the historic center in just a few minutes on foot. Larger cruise ships usually dock farther out, at the eastern wharf, where terminals A and B are located. This area is still close to the city, but the walk is longer, usually around 25 to 30 minutes to the Old Town. The route is flat and easy, but in summer heat or with limited time, the shuttle is a better option. It's usually offered by the cruise line for a small fee. Malaga is one of those ports where you really don't need a shore excursion if you plan to stay in the city. The city center is compact, pedestrian-friendly and easy to navigate. Most of the main attractions are close to each other. Hop-on-hop of buses and local buses are also well organized if you prefer not to walk everywhere. The only time I would plan more carefully is if you want to visit Granada, the Alhambra, Seville or another city outside Malaga. But if this is your first time in Malaga, staying in town is a good choice. Before we dive into what to do and see in Malaga on a cruise, a quick mention. If you're planning a Mediterranean cruise, make sure to check out my Mediterranean Cruise Port Guide ebook. It covers 45 cruise ports across the region with detailed info on each port, how to get around, and my top recommendations for what to do in each port. If you only have one day in Malaga, I would focus on the Old Town, the Cathedral, the Roman Theatre and the Alcazaba. If you're comfortable with uphill walking, you can also add Gibralfaro Castle, then finish with the Waterfront or Malagueta Beach. A good starting point is Calle Larios, Malaga's main pedestrian street. It's elegant, wide and lined with shops, cafes and beautiful buildings. It leads toward Plaza de la Constitución, one of the main squares in the Old Town, and from there you can easily continue toward the cathedral. Since we stayed overnight in Malaga, we also had time to enjoy delicious tapas in one of the local tapas bars nearby. Malaga Cathedral is one of the city's main landmarks. It's often called La Manquita, or the One-Armed Lady, because one of its towers was never finished. Even if you don't go inside, the area around the cathedral is beautiful. Plaza del Obispo, right in front of the cathedral, is one of the prettiest spots in Malaga and a great place for photos or a coffee break. If you have time, the cathedral interior is worth visiting, and the visit doesn't take too long. For cruise passengers, I would visit early if you can, before the area gets busier. Close to the cathedral, you'll also find the Picasso Museum. Malaga is Picasso's birthplace, so this is one of the city's most important cultural stops. I visited the museum on another occasion, and it's interesting if you like art, although it doesn't include many of Picasso's most famous works. If you're short on time, I would keep it optional because the visit can take around 2 hours. If you prefer something quicker, you can simply walk through the Old Town, enjoy the streets, stop for coffee or ice cream and continue toward the Roman Theatre and the Alcazaba. The Old Town is also the best place for authentic souvenirs, tapas and simply soaking up the local energy. The Roman Theatre is one of the easiest historic sites to visit in Malaga because it sits right below the Alcazaba, in the heart of the city. It dates back to the 1st century BC and is free to see, so it's perfect for a quick stop during a walking route. Right above it is the Alcazaba, one of the Malaga's most important landmarks. The Alcazaba is an 11th century Moorish fortress built during the Islamic period of Andalusia. It has stone walls, arches, small courtyards, gardens, and beautiful views over the city. For me, this is one of the best places to visit in Malaga if you want history and views without leaving the city. It's also easier to manage than Gibralfaro Castle because it is right in the Old Town and doesn't require such a long uphill walk. If you want to visit both the Alcazaba and Gibralfaro Castle, there is usually a combined ticket available. You should allow around 1.5 to 2 hours for both, depending on your pace. Gibralfaro Castle sits above the Alcazaba and offers some of the best views over Malaga, the cruise port, the marina and the coastline. This is a great place for photos, especially if you want a classic view of the city and your ship in the port. But keep in mind that getting there involves uphill walking. The walk from the Alcazaba area takes around 20 minutes and there are stairs and uneven paths. If it's very hot or if you don't want to climb, you can also take a taxi app and walk down, or simply skip Gibralfaro and focus on the Old Town and the Alcazaba. For a short cruise stop, I would only include Gibralfaro if you have enough time and you're comfortable with the climb. After exploring the Old Town and Gibralfaro, you have a few good options depending on your time and energy. We went for a great lunch at El Pimpi, one of Malaga's most famous restaurants, located close to the Roman Theatre and the Alcazaba. After lunch, we walked about 10 minutes to Casa Natal de Picasso, the house where Pablo Picasso was born, located on Plaza de la Merced. You can visit the small museum inside or simply stop by the square if you don't want to add another museum to the day. Another option is to return to the waterfront. This is one of the nicest parts of Malaga for cruise passengers because it's right between the port and the city. The Palmeral de las Sorpresas is a lovely waterfront promenade with palm trees, modern architecture, cafes and views of the harbor. It's a great place for a relaxed walk before heading back to the ship. If you want beach time, La Malagueta Beach is the closest city beach to the cruise port. You can walk there from the port area, and it's a good option if you've already seen the main sights or just want a more relaxed afternoon. It's not the most spectacular beach in Spain, and the water isn't the crystal clear, but it's very convenient. There are beach bars, restaurants, places for a drink and a long promenade. We stopped at Trocadero near the beach for a cold drink, and it was a nice break after sightseeing. So, if your cruise stop is shorter, I would focus on the Old Town and the Alcazaba. If you have more time, add Gibralfaro, lunch at El Pimpi, Casa Natal de Picasso, the waterfront or Malagueta Beach. If you want a more detailed walking route, I also have a full one-day Malaga itinerary on my blog adventurebegins.com. There, you'll also find separate guides on how to visit Granada and Alhambra from Malaga and how to plan a day trip to Seville from Malaga or Cadiz. I'll leave all the links in the video description so you can choose the option that works best for your cruise schedule. Now, if you've already visited Malaga or if seeing the Alhambra is a dream for you, Granada is the big day trip from Malaga. I visited Granada and the Alhambra from Malaga myself, and it was absolutely worth it. The Alhambra is a UNESCO-listed palace and fortress complex originally built by the Nasrid rulers in the 13th century. It's known for its detailed Islamic architecture, peaceful courtyards, Generalife gardens, and the Alcazaba fortress, and beautiful views over Granada. But this is not a casual, let's decide in the morning type of trip. Granada is about 130 kilometers from Malaga, and the journey usually takes around 1.5 to 2 hours each way. We went independently by train from Malaga Maria Zambrano to Granada. Once we arrived, we took a taxi to the cathedral area and had about 1 hour to explore the city center. After that, we took an Uber up to Alhambra and spent there around 3 hours in total. Later, we took a local bus back to the city and had a great early dinner in one of the restaurants on the main square before catching our last train back to Malaga at 6:30. For cruise passengers, I would only do Granada independently if your ship is in port long enough, ideally at least 9 to 10 hours, and closer to 10 or 11 hours if you want the day to feel more comfortable. The Alhambra has timed entry, especially for the Nasrid palaces, and tickets often sell out, so you need to book in advance and plan your day around the entry time. If your port time is shorter, or if you don't want to worry about train schedules and return timing, a shore excursion is the safer option. Another option for Malaga is Seville, the capital of Andalusia. I visited Seville from Malaga by train, and I also visited it from Cadiz on a cruise excursion. It's one of the most beautiful cities in Spain, known for Plaza de España, Seville Cathedral, La Giralda, the Royal Palace, and the atmospheric Old Town. But from Malaga, Seville is a long day. The train usually takes around 2 to 3 hours each way, depending on the connection, so this is only realistic if your ship has a long stay or overnight in port. On our day trip, we arrived at Sevilla Santa Justa train station and took a taxi straight to Plaza de España. We spent a little less than an hour there, then walked about 20 minutes toward the cathedral. We booked a guided tour of Seville Cathedral with La Giralda, the cathedral's famous bell tower and one of the city's most iconic landmarks. You can climb to the top, but access is only through the cathedral visit or a guided tour. After that, we visited the Royal Alcazar on our own. This beautiful royal palace is known for its Moorish-style architecture, courtyards, gardens, and richly decorated rooms. It was also featured in Game of Thrones, which was amazing for a fan like me. Tickets for both the cathedral and the Alcazar should be booked in advance, which makes the day trip a bit more complicated to organize independently. After the palace, we had the delicious paella lunch before exploring the main streets of the Old Town. We took the train back to Malaga around 8:20, so it was a full day and not something I would recommend independently on a short cruise stop. For most cruisers, Seville from Malaga makes sense only with a long port day, an overnight stay, or an organized shore excursion. If your itinerary also includes Cadiz, Seville is usually easier to visit from there. Malaga is one of those cruise ports where you can have a great day without much planning. You can stay in the city and explore the Old Town, the Alcazaba, the Waterfront and the beach, or use it as a gateway to Granada or Seville if your port time allows. For first-time visitors, I would keep it simple and enjoy Malaga itself. Thanks for watching, and I'll leave links in the description to my full Malaga Cruise Port guide and related articles on adventurebegins.com.